welcome to You're Wrong About Musicals. I'm Esme,
And I'm Nell.
and today we are talking about Anne Juliet. And guys, we put this off so long.
Guys, we have been on call for 3 hours, three and a
Almost
half
3 hours
hours,
now. Yeah.
and we've talked about everything
Everything
except Anne
else
Juliet.
under the sun except for Anne Juliet. We did a deep dive into Morrissey.
Yeah, we were on Morrissey's Wikipedia page.
Morrissey's Wikipedia page. But we are going to talk about Anne Juliet now because we said we were going to. Um,
I'm furious about it.
yeah. Got some nicer weeks coming up.
Yeah.
Where we're not annoyed. Anyway, we've got some news to
I
get.
opened this chat, by the way, to put me in a really bad mood for this episode.
Sure. Okay.
I'm furious, guys, by the way. I told Esme earlier, I've been in a bad mood for days
Mm-hmm.
because I know I have to record this episode.
I've been in a weird mood. Yeah. Anything
I'm on
that.
my 4th cup of coffee now because I couldn't sleep last night.
Yeah.
I worked 12 and a half hours on Saturday in the sun,
Yeah. It's been very hot.
and now people I don't like are texting me and pissing me off.
They're encroaching on your time of looking up Morrissey.
I'm just trying to get through this recording by looking up Morrissey and Tim Buckley.
I don't
And all I'm getting are like little notifications. Snapchat, someone sent you a message.
Let's talk about Dead Outlaw. There's some news to get through. Dead Outlaw is closing, which is upsetting because I don't know. I feel like I need to get into Dead Outlaw.
Yeah, I had no idea what it was about. And then you kind of explained to me, I was like, well, fuck, that actually sounds quite good.
Yeah.
Now it's closing.
Now it's closing. And as I said last week, it's the time of year. I'm not massively I mean, I'm surprised that Dead Outlaw was the next one to announce its closing. I'm going to be real with all of you. That's, again, this isn't me saying that I want shows to close. This is just me saying, as someone who reads the grosses every week, you can normally tell what's a surprise closing and what's not.
Mm.
Moving on. Back to the Future casts Maddie Grace Jepsen as Lorraine. I've watched the movie. I've never seen the musical. And I would like to keep it that. She's a TikToker, but also a trained actress.
Yeah.
Moving on. Andy, me and Nell were discussing this as we were writing this up. Guys,
As we were doing anything but talking about Anne Juliet, we were discussing this, shockingly.
Shockingly, me and Nell were sat around discussing Andrew Lloyd Webber. Guys, Andy's acting too good. I've had to go around the past week and I actually really love Andrew Lloyd Webber and his work. This is a massive issue for me right now. Evita, and then this. Come on, Andy. So he went on a podcast. Come on, ours, Andy. If you're open to podcasts, come on.
There are many people we want on this podcast.
Many people we want on this podcast. Andrew Lloyd Webber.
It's kind of the important ones.
Important ones. I mean, obviously Taylor. Always. Anyway, yeah, Andy's been too normal, and he said Sunset Boulevard's not coming back to the UK because there was a rumor that it was
Boo.
shot. Boo, boo, boo. A new Phantom movie might happen. Yeah. Sure, that will be very fun for all of us. And Rachel singing Rainbow High is the best he's ever heard it. Well, yes. The way that she sings, I'm your savior. She doesn't sing it like that. She holds the note for an insane amount of time, and it's mind-blowing. I'm seeing Evita again tomorrow, guys, and I'm beside myself with excitement. But I'm going with my parents, so I can't be too weird. Although, I don't really let on when something is impressive to me with my face. Like, I literally sit there blank stared unless something insane's happening. Now it's gotten quite good at reading my blank stares.
Yep. You get used to it.
Like, she'll look over and be like, Esme's hating this. And then the intro, I'm like, I loved it. This is great. I'm having a great time. Often if I'm showing emotion, it's not a good sign. Immersive. Okay, so more information came out on Immersive Phantom.
angry about this, and I don't think they should be.
Huh?
My hot take on Immersive Phantom.
Mm.
People are like, why the fuck is this a 21 plus event, guys?
Mm.
Who under the age of 21 has $150 minimum to spend on tickets?
Yeah.
Like, you weren't ever gonna go and see Immersive Phantom, guys.
No, like ever since the details of Immersive Phantom were one like leaked in rumors, but then like official things started coming out about it, I was like, Jesus Christ, this is going to be so expensive. So when it turned out to be really expensive, I was like, that's kind of feels like Fork found in draw.
Yeah,
The one,
it's just, I mean,
yeah.
I think it's funny.
Mm.
Like, I'm not even angry about it. I think it's kind of ridiculous.
And the thing I find ridiculous about it is the one really strict dress code.
The dress code, hilarious.
And the fact that you have to wear a mask. Not
And
like
they're like,
not like
if for what if
face
for
mask.
whatever reason you didn't have a masquerade mask at home, don't worry, I guess we'll sell them at the door.
Well, I mean, because the other thing was announced, it was a 6 week run, which was shocking because I genuinely thought it was going to have to run for like 5 years to make its money. But I mean, they're just going to make everyone buy masks.
Yeah.
Okay, time for a Vita corner. I'm done with Gatsby corner. Gatsby corner.
Unfortunately.
Gatsby corner will return when Florence Welch decides to make it a thing. Also, my beef with Florence Welch is over in like 20 days. Everyone get excited. Woo! Rachel Zegler is in talks to do The Sound of Music on Broadway this season, I believe, at Lincoln Center.
So that's actually not about Evita at all.
But the rumor was that Vita was going to immediately transfer. First off, I would kill to hear Rachel Zegler sing the score of The Sound of Music. I love The Sound of Music. I think we should let Daniel Fish do Sound of Music.
Sure.
When I was sat watching it with my friend who kind of hated Weird Oklahoma, I was pitching to her Weird Sound of Music.
Right.
She was kind of horrified. She was like, Esme, do you have to fuck with everything? I was like, yes, yes, I do. Come on now. But then Evita is in talks to transfer in 2020 in the 2026 2027 season because Rice wants to focus on chess.
Fair enough.
And all I'm saying is thank God we got it fast because it's life-changing. There's a new Phantom cast.
Yeah.
I wondered if you had anything else.
Lily Carehouse is staying.
Yeah.
So that's big.
She's done what, 3 contracts now with Christine?
Yeah, something like that.
Which is insane, like in a good way.
Yeah. My sister sent me a ridiculous text about it.
Mm.
She sent me like the announcement and she was like, oh my God, Joe and Eve are leaving. As if she's on a first name basis with them.
We're on a first name basis with Nicole and Audra. Only.
But like, my God. And then she was like, do you want to come and see it with me one last time? And I was like, girl, Phantom is still open. You can go and get obsessed with the new Ral. Like,
Phantom will still be running forever and ever.
they'll
and
still
ever.
be running. Joe Griffiths Brown is going into Les Mis. Go and see Les Mis. Like,
Just go see Les Mis.
you'll
I
be
mean,
fine.
the issue with Les Mis, I guess, is that he does die.
Yeah, but
He's only in half of it. But like Les Mis is so good, man. I need to go see Les Mis again. Decided that. Heathers is back.
yay.
It's just kind of like I woke up one day and Heathers is back and I was like, oh God. I wasn't prepared. The Jimmy Awards happened. Saw a lot of people tweeting about it, and I was like, I always forget how much people actually care about the Jimmy Awards.
Yeah, I've never heard about them.
I
I know what they are. I've never watched them.
I know what they are. I've never sat down and been like, I'm watching the Jimmy Awards. One of my favorite moments was when we were at Hadestown and like British people someone was having to explain to someone else how Even Obazala got cast in Miss Saigon and had to try and explain the Jimmy Awards. It was so funny because that was like
so
how
ridiculous.
because like I was like yeah because the British person was like, so it's like a national competition for theatre. How the hell does that work? I don't know. And I was like, that is how I feel about the Jimmy Awards. Broadway Bears happened. Nicole Scherzinger did a Pussycat Doll song with the ensemble of Sunset Boulevard. Very good. I always forget like how many bangers the Pussycat Dolls put out. Yeah. Paula Scola leaves O'Mary. Titus Burgess is taking over the role. I love Titus Burgess. Once
And then
again,
it's Jinx
then it's
Monsoon
Jinx.
after that.
Jinx Monsoon. Quarterly reminder. I love Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Some of you need to
Yeah,
be reminded of that.
some of you
Some of
need to
you
remember.
don't believe my insane ramblings.
I'm not naming names.
Not naming names because I don't have any, but when I find trust, um,
Trust.
trust. How else would I know that insane shit? Um, most of it against my will. Um, the last 5 years, Floyd Collins and Smash closed. Last 5 years, Floyd Collins were at limited runs. I haven't really got to say on them. Last 5 years, I kept forgetting it was on Broadway.
Mm.
I'm glad we did the last 5 years experiment. I'm not sure Jonas Brother needed to be there. Floyd Collins, I've heard they recorded a cast album, which is massive for me. I should check up on that and when that's coming out because I love Ghetto so much. And Smash closed, which we've spoken about. Oh, and then it was West End Live, which, guys, if you ever catch me saying I'm willingly going to West End Live while it's still at Trafalgar Square, sorry, I've been abducted by aliens. I don't get how they keep putting it consistently on one of the hottest weekends of the year.
I know.
And people keep coming earlier and earlier and earlier and camping for longer and longer and longer. And more people just keep coming and coming and coming, and they don't think to change anything.
I think in part it must just be the like publicity of it.
Yeah, but like, I'm gonna cut this, but something bad's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And it's preventable. I was convinced on Saturday I was gonna get the notification someone dies at West End Live, and I was like, but yeah, I don't know what the solution is with West End Live because I guess the issue is that you need to have somewhere that's central to the theatres.
I think they need to get like more stages.
Yeah, or
Like they
live
need to
stream
keep
it
like
to,
huh?
or live stream it to like Hyde Park where people could sit and watch it.
I think that's my thing. Have like one stage at Leicester Square, one stage like Trafalgar Square,
Mm,
one stage at like Hyde Park.
mm.
That's what they do. Like even when you look at like the summertime festival thing in Hyde Park.
Oh, British. Yeah, why? Okay, British Summertime, whatever it's called, British Summertime Festival, or whatever it's called at Hyde Park. They start in like a week. Why don't broker some kind of deal with them? Because this is also a council-run event.
Yeah,
Broker some deal with British Summertime at Hyde Park and use their facilities or something.
yeah. Or just like I get that the second you add another stage anywhere else, people are gonna be like, but like how do I get but like I want to see both stages and I can't.
Mm.
I was like, sucks.
It's a free event, you know. I don't know.
It's just like I get why they refuse to change it because there will be so much backlash to whatever they choose to do.
Yeah,
Ultimately, the way it's working now isn't working.
it's fundamentally broken and it's been quite broken for a couple of years now.
Yeah,
So I don't know. I don't know. Because we always have this debate and everyone just kind of ends up being like, it's either going to move and so less shows are going to perform, or it's going to have to be ticketed in some way and that will make it less accessible. But I'd argue it's pretty inaccessible right now.
yeah.
Like unless you're willing to wake up at stupid o'clock in the morning and go sit out on the streets of central London for hours and hours and hours, then you can't get in on the Saturday.
I mean, just God, what time did we go
We
a
got
couple
there
of
for
years
like
ago when we went?
9.
Yeah, and we were still queuing for like an hour and a half at least.
Yeah.
And we never got inside.
No. So anyway.
They had like a screen, so obviously they are filming it.
Yeah, and it all gets uploaded to YouTube like immediately after.
Yeah,
So
I just think it's a bit ridiculous.
I also think it's ridiculous that people are camping from 2 a.m. Like I understand the compulsion.
It's not worth it at all.
Nothing is worth camping in that heat for.
Yeah.
Um, and I think, and I say this about every event. Like, I don't think you should camp overnight for any music event. It's not worth it.
Mm.
I don't know if that's because I'm just like I like my sleep too much, and I like my bed. But even like Taylor or Lana, two people who like I love their music, and I love going to their concerts. You'll never catch me camping.
Yeah. I think the most I've ever done is I've camped for like a couple hours.
That
And that
seems,
was when it was a relatively like mid-sized location.
yeah,
I'd been in before and I knew that there were really bad sight lines at the back.
yeah,
And I was like, I'm just gonna go a couple hours early.
mm,
I'm gonna just sit with my friend.
yeah,
We made friends in the queue. We were there for maybe like 3 hours,
mm,
and then we went in.
yeah. That seems right to me. But it was just seeing people turn up at like 2 a.m. and be sat there until it opened at like 11. I was like, Jesus Christ. That's who Bat Boy is.
Who? It's a Ben
Taylor,
Platt.
Taylor Trench.
Fuck.
Different Evan Hansen.
To be fair, that was the only other comment I saw where someone was like, it has to be this person.
I do love Taylor Trench.
For reference, the New York City Center announced who their Bat Boy is for
Yeah.
Bat Boy the musical. And when they said they were announcing it yesterday, that they were going to announce it today, the only comments I saw on the post was one, someone saying it had better be Taylor Trench, and the other person saying, Ben Platt, please.
I pay a lot of money to see Ben Platt as Bad Boy.
Anything
I don't know if
to
it'd be good,
see Ben Platt as
but
Bat Boy.
I'd see it. Anywho, and Juliet is a musical with a book by David West Reed, music by Max Martin, and lyrics by Max Martin and friends. I shit you not, that is how it's listed on the International Broadway Database.
Jesus.
Because I was like, I'm not writing out every single person who has songwriting credits on these songs.
Yeah.
And so when they had it listed as Max Martin and friends, I was like, this is somehow the funniest.
That's the best way you could phrase it.
Yeah, Max Martin and
And
friends.
friends.
Um, Max Martin is a songwriting legend behind what many of the biggest pop songs of the past century. I That is an indisputable fact. And anyone who I was about to say like he's the Jack Antonoff of like the 2000s and 2010s, but no, he's not. He's in a league of his own. He has one of the most. He has. I think he's tied with like Paul McCartney or someone like that for the most Billboard number ones. He
Jesus.
might even have the most. And I don't think Max Martin has done much recently outside of Anne Juliet. Because I was thinking, I was like, when was the last time we had a Max Martin smash? Because I know he worked with Ariana. Oh no! He did Yes and with Ariana.
I'm gonna look him up and see if he's done anything else more recently.
My pitch for Max Martin is go find Gracie Abrams.
Mm.
I think I'm not the biggest Gracie Abrams fan, but I think she needs a bit of Max Martin.
Oh, okay.
What?
Baby, one more time. I want it that
Yeah,
way. That's the way it is. It's gonna be me.
yeah,
Shake it off.
yeah,
Blank space.
yeah. He did 22, I Knew Your Trouble, and We Are Never as well, and Message in a Bottle. Ready for it. I need to go check myself into a mental hospital for doing all of this off the top of my head.
Oh, Blinding Lights, banger.
Yeah,
Yeah. Second most number one singles on the charts. Paul McCartney has 32. He has
yeah,
27. John Lennon has 26.
yeah.
I want to see. Okay, he did a lot for like the Backstreet Boys.
Mm,
He did a lot for Britney Spears.
yeah.
Pink, Usher, Avril Lavigne.
She got better. I didn't really vibe with her after her second record.
She did Bang Bang.
Yeah.
He did all of Katy Perry's good songs.
Yeah. 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 He don't come cheap, Max Martin, that's what I'm hearing. That's
Okay, hell yeah. He did I Knew You Were Trouble.
yeah, and that's a banger song. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Everything comes back.
I don't want to talk about it anymore, except from the fact that it's a banger song, and we all know it's a banger song. And it sounded weird when she didn't invite him back for the Taylor's versions. And I'm gonna display my crackpot theory as to the relationship between Taylor Swift and Max Martin throughout this episode.
He co-wrote Message in a Bottle.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was their first co-write together before they got cooking. I love those songs.
I did Cool for the Summer and Love Me Like You Do. Oh my God.
Yeah. Do you want to know the reason why?
He's never not had a hit. I just
Yeah.
say.
Do you want to know why "Hit Me Baby One More Time" is "Hit Me Baby One More Time"? Because he's Swedish, right? And so when he
Mm.
called Britney Spears to say, "I've written this hook for you," it's supposed to be "Call Me Baby One More Time." She understood it as "Hit Me Baby One More Time."
Um, Holy shit, he did Conan Gray's Never Ending Song Killing Me.
I mean, can flop.
Hey, leave Conan Gray out of this.
Sorry, Conan Gray.
Oh my God, he did My Universe by Coldplay and BTS.
That does feel fork fan and draw, Cole.
What a guy.
So yeah, we have Max Martin to thank for so much, and I want us all to remember that.
And then he kind of would have ruined it all.
When we're talking about Juliet, we have to remember his contributions to pop culture, pop music, my everyday life, all very important to me.
See, this is the thing. I want to get this out of the way first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
The thing with jukebox musicals is, with the exception of one, they don't have like bad songs in them.
Which is the one with bad songs?
Moulin Rouge.
Some of them are good by themselves.
Well, there are 90 of them, so of course some of them are good.
Yeah, yeah. I think you can hear Firework or like some songs both in And Juliet and Moulin Rouge. Basically, the point of this section is
The
that I'm
worst diagram in the world is the Anne Juliet and Moulin Rouge.
basically, if you take anything away from this conversation, make it be that I actually do really like pop music. I think pop music is really hard to do.
But that's the thing I'm getting at, is I think that like the concept of jukebox musicals are really, really good. Like I love it's why you were talking about this before we started recording as well. There's another way to put off recording Anne Juliet. Was we really want to go and see Just for One Day, a Live Aid
Yes.
musical.
Yes. Because we
I
found out
think it's a
Margaret
thing.
Thatch is a character.
Yeah, that is literally the only reason. That and the Concorde.
We want to know if the Concords mentioned so we can go, yeah!
Does anyone know if the Concorde has a mention in the Live Aid musical?
Yeah. Anyone else?
Actually, I have friends at work who have gone to go see it. I might ask them.
Awesome.
Do you know if the Concorde aeroplane is mentioned?
It's mentioned.
Do you remember?
Concord mentioned.
Oh my God, you'll hear us cheering. We're going to be the only people in the back of the Shaftesbury Theatre.
They're decent.
You're just going to hear two people start cheering.
So, yes! Concord! Concord!
Yes!
Anyway,
the point I'm getting at.
When the Concorde is.
Well, they will. That would be awful. The point I'm getting at is my issue with jukebox musicals has never been the music.
Mm.
It's why I don't have any like beef with Mamma Mia.
Oh, Mamma Mia is such a silly, goofy time, but then when she sings The Winner Takes It All, you're like, yes!
I think my issue is the issue of the plot. And we'll get into the Aunt Juliet plot.
I've bought a book out for reference. And it's not
But I think like this is a big issue, is that it always feels with most jukebox musicals that what they've done is they've gone, oh my God, and we have to get this song.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to get this song, and that's such a great song, and we have to get this song. And they've gone, okay, so how are we going to get these two songs in the same musical? Like, how is that plot going to work? how is what these songs are saying going to work in a cohesive plot?
Yes.
And to give credit where credit's due, I kind of have to respect Moulin Rouge for the way they do it. Because they just say, fuck it, we're just going to sing all the songs together, and that's going to be how it's done.
Like, Glee's off the air not doing mashups anymore, so someone has to.
They just do it. And I feel like with Anne Juliet, I feel like they still struggle a bit where those TikToks that used to go around, where it's like like when it transitions into singing. They also did it a lot,
Yeah.
making this joke with jukebox musicals. So
Yeah.
I feel like Anne Juliet always feels like that.
I
They're like,
listened.
if you're gonna take me back, Romeo,
Don't.
we can do it. Like, just fine. Hit me, baby, one more time.
Well,
And then I was like, Christ, okay.
I listened to Anne Juliet today, and I just pressed shuffle because I was like,
And it's a great playlist.
it's a great time because I was like, yeah, I like these arrangements. I'm having a good time. These are banger pop songs. And then I thought about the plot, and I was like, Jesus. And then they start talking about the plot, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Sorry. I remember that this is all about Shakespeare.
That's something. I also think that like Mamma Mia has a really solid plot. Like it's a bit ridiculous, but most
I mean,
musical plots are ridiculous.
yeah, I mean the whole like concept of the three fathers and there being absolutely no idea who the father is.
But also,
But then,
and I think about this a lot with Mamma Mia, is that plot point is not at all tied to the songs.
but then singing
Like
Honey
they've not.
Honey into it as to be like, oh, I found this thing, and then they're like, and then like Sophie's teasing them and being like, and then they did this dot dot dot, and like as she's singing Honey Honey, she's explaining the time she had with the fathers. I'm like, genius.
It's this idea that three fathers concept is not something that's been added in because they're like, fuck, wait, this is mentioned in a song.
Yeah,
So we need it to be a plot point in order for us to use this song.
yeah,
They were just like, what if ABBA music? And also they're trying to figure out who the father is.
yeah, and we sing some Mamma Mia.
And it's like, great.
But then I like it. This is weird. The last point I make about Mamma Mia this week, probably when they do at the end, they're like, "We've not sung Waterloo yet," and that's kind of an issue. Fuck it, we're doing an encore.
Like, that's the thing. I think I have a lot more respect for jukebox musicals when they're just like, fuck it. This is a well known song. We're going to sing it. And that's, I hate Moulin Rouge so much.
Mm.
I do kind of have to respect that aspect of it. Like, that is why they have 90 songs. So just like, and you know what else is a great song? Let's sing it.
Yeah,
Let's put it in.
let's put in Seven Nation Army.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anywho,
Let's do Smells Like Teen Spirit. Why not? Let's also do Firework.
who's gonna stop us?
Anyways, Anne Juliet has a great selection of songs. It is just majorly let down by the fact of its plot.
I am a big pop fan.
Yeah.
Let that be known. So it would come about when Jenny Peterson, Max Martin's wife, would say, "We should make a musical." Martin is an expert songwriter, but not a scriptwriter. He would say, "I was insecure about how this was going to be. I really wanted it to be a great story, not just a bunch of songs to have a purpose, so to speak."
You failed. I just want to let you know, Max Martin, I have a lot of respect for you. I really like your work. You failed.
Max Martin, if you're listening, go find Gracie Abrams. Please. Yes.
You know what? Go and work with Gracie Abrams.
Go work with Gracie Abrams. She needs your help. And I love Aaron Desner, but Desner, stop. David West Reed would suffer with a concussion, which worked out well because he could not look at screens or anything. So he was lying in a dark room and listening to a playlist of Max Martin songs. There was so much heartbreak and young love. I thought, how do you put a brand to this? He would then think of Romeo and Juliet. Juliet doesn't have much of a shot. It's a 3-day story and then it was over. He would come up with the idea for Anne Juliet from this. When West Reed would originally pitch the story to Max Martin, he explains all of the stories in the show in one way relate to or about another or about second chances. There's something about second chance that everyone can relate to, especially given what we as a culture have been through in the past few years. There's this idea that what if What if I could start again and try to be something different? Not sure what he means by it.
I'm trying to understand. Hi, Juliet.
I forget I've seen it. I've seen it. Because Max Martin was yeah, so we came up with the idea of Juliet from Romeo and Juliet. We're basically going to have to repurpose or reinvent these pop songs, and it'll be great. But also reinvent a classic love story. Don't broke if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
Um, when he created this story and gave me an example of how the song would work to tell this story, that's when it really started to come to life, Martin said. When trying to narrow down, the book writer would say, I was given about 250 Max Martin songs to choose from. You could easily make 10 musicals out of his catalogue. But for me, I prioritised the song that helped move the story forward. How does Raw by Katy Perry move the story forward?
Unfortunately, I actually really do get how it does. Unfortunately, out of all the songs you could have picked, I think Raw makes the most sense as a story driver.
Hit me maybe one more time then. Um,
I think
it,
this is the issue, is that a lot of the songs do make sense as like narrative devices because all songs have a story.
yeah.
But hey, fuck you, Spotify.
What have they done?
My day list title.
What's it called?
Hippie 20th Century Tuesday Afternoon.
I think I've got that before. I don't know why I'm giggling.
It's actually a banger. Fuck, it's not good. It's gonna update before I have a chance to listen to it.
What's on my day list? Oh, somehow worse.
Right, I'm getting up the Angelique recording. I do think Can't Stop the Feeling is probably the least
When that came on the shuffle, I would never listen
narrative
again.
song.
I hate that song. Max Martin, I don't like that song.
I think it's quite a good song, but I'm just a Trolls fan, so like none of them are bad songs, but I forgot Grace Moat was in this.
Anyway, in order to become earworms that they are, most pop songs are repetitive by nature. So we kept finding ways to create new meaning out of familiar lyrics. And in our workshop process, we tried dozens of other Max Martin songs that weren't as successful. That's the best part of creating a jukebox musical because the songs are already written, so you don't feel bad if you decide not to use one. This is when the trial error to arrive at the 30ish songs that made the final cut. There's an Adele song called Send My Love to a New Lover that I was desperate to include, mostly because I wanted to meet Adele. And there was a beautiful Pink song called I Didn't Believe You that we tried to do as a duet between Shakespeare and Romeo. It's gorgeous, but didn't survive. 22 would be included. When? When did you include 22? They would have a out of town tryout in Manchester in September and in September to October before arriving at the Shaftesbury in November 2019. Now, I've seen some online chatter. I've tried to verify this, and the results are mixed. That there were Taylor songs included in the press release for & Juliet.
Mm.
But I've seen some online chatter, and this isn't in musical spaces, this is in Swifty spaces, that she said no. She went, no, Max Martin, you cannot have my back catalogue. Now, I have two theories about this. One, she's a woman of taste. Although she would unfortunately love & Juliet.
Oh, she would.
Two, the Masters dispute prevented her from including her songs in &
Mm.
Juliet. But I know that they really wanted to include some I Knew You Were Trouble or some We Were Never.
Oh, obviously.
They were dying. They were chomping at the bit. Do you want to know they would have done some Wildest Dreams as well? Well, that's an Antonoff.
Oh,
That's an Antonoff, I think. Is that an Antonoff?
yeah, I think so.
They would have killed for some Shake It Off.
Oh my God, Shake It Off. I Knew You Were Trouble.
Yeah, We Are Never. But 22 is the one that was confirmed in a workshop. That's the part that gets me.
And I think I can kind of see how they would fit it in, but
Where? Where? I mean, the lyric Happy, Free, Confused, and Lonely at the same time could work.
I think they could do it as obviously Juliet's quite young.
Well, they constantly are making the joke that she's 14, specifically.
I think you could almost do it like this is really gonna force me to try and remember the like major plot points of Anne Juliet, of which there are a few. Um,
Apparently.
but like when she's out living her fun little life,
She's at the
and
club.
she's like, yeah, when she's at the club, yeah, she sings 22. She's like, I feel 22. I feel so old and free.
Even though I'm 13, as people keep reminding me. As the plot keeps reminding me. Yeah.
I cannot wait to get into my thoughts about this because I think this musical is awful.
Mm. Um, Also, people now think that this is one of the conspiracy tin hat things, which I choose to believe because I think it's hilarious. That the reason why Max Martin didn't come back for the Taylor's versions is because Taylor said no to Max Martin using her songs in Aunt Juliet.
So, okay, the two ideas there. One, she asked him to come back for the Taylor version. He said, no, you refuse to be an Anne
Yeah,
Juliet. Or two, she refused to ask him to come back for the Taylor version. He said, are you fucking kidding? You tried to get me an Anne Juliet.
that's right. I believe in the conspiracy theory because another has been confirmed that he charges so much for them that it's not worth it for a re-recording to like
Well,
reproduce.
fair enough.
And
Like,
I'm
he's
like,
fucking great at his job.
And I'm like, I believe that one a bit more, but can we not going back for the big hits? Because why the fuck do they sound like that? What do you do to my homegirl style? What do you do to my homegirl I knew in trouble? What do you do to my homegirl we are never?
I've never heard you call I Knew You Were Trouble your homegirl before in your
I
life.
really love that song actually. I just have to keep it hidden. It would open at the Shaftesbury Theatre on the 20th of November 2019. The Guardian would give it 4 stars, saying there are poignant moments such as the rousing rendition of the coming of age ballad I'm not a girl, not yet a woman by May, a character who struggles with gender and identity. The musical also highlights some of Martin's underappreciated compositions and stunning performance of Celine Dion's That's the Way It Is, and an intense exchange between May and Francoise, said to Adam Lambert's What You Want From Me are standouts. Lee's version of Juliet is strong, and Janssen's interpretation of Anne is full of charisma. And Juliet packs a lot of fun into its sharp, witty story of self discovery. Its best message? That bubblegum pop, far from manufactured filler, is worthy of accompaniment to the greatest of storytellers.
I think that's true. Well, not for Anne Juliet, but I do think that there are a lot of pop songs that can be used. It's why I think like Taylor Swift's music
Mm.
would be so easy to make a jukebox out of because they're so storytelling.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I mean, every single song has
Has a
a
story,
plot.
has a narrative, has a lesson. She's obsessed with lessons in her song and learning meaning to it and gaining clarity. And that's often what songs in a book musical are used for.
Yeah. I think also you have shit like um Evermore,
Yeah, don't get me started on
which
that.
already has like characters and a story to it.
Yeah, I mean, Folklore and Evermore, you got SD Dorothea, Rebecca. There's a rumor that she's writing her movie about Rebecca Harkness from The Last Great American Dynasty for Folklore. Again, rumor. Taylor, don't come for me, I've got no money. Um, and then there's that whole love triangle in Folklore of Betty, James, and August.
And I think it's just like it's so obvious that yes, it is just in quotations, just pop music.
Yeah,
But I think of, you know, you find that with a lot of songs that there is a story to it. And it's fun to listen to, but
there is a reason why Hit Me Baby One More Time is still one of the greatest songs ever written.
yeah,
Like, yeah. There is a reason why we keep revisiting these songs and they keep being important.
yeah.
Um, Variety would say, from Wicked to Waitress, female empowerment has been born of musical theatre, but where those shows veered between sincerely earnest and earnestly sincere, and Juliet gleefully goes for broke, putting gender on the agenda as it yokes pop milestones from the likes of Britney Spears, Katy Perry, and Celine Dion to girl power revamp of Romeo and Juliet. The hyperactive production sometimes feels more uh engraving, evasive,
Innovating.
innovating than exciting, but doubts are blown out the water by such lead performances, especially by the spectacular newcomer Miriam Teak Lee as Juliet, who doesn't so much as star as set the theatre alight. Teenage anxieties have powered many a musical, but least of all, mother of all jukeboxes, Mamma Mia. But and Juliet is not in the same league, where Mamma Mia brings its feminist slant to the show with a slow, cunning hair. Everyone on stage can't stop making and singing about it, which, to be fair, is part of the fun. Silly and serious, and Juliet wants to have its cake and eat it too. Yet, of all of its many flaws, it is hard not to cave in to its determination to add some thought to its undeniably feel good factor. In that sense, we're not a million miles away from the runaway Brit hit Six, but where that show sells out a 353 seat off West End house with young ticket buyers paying low prices, and Juliet will need a major marketing to woo audiences beyond its youthful demographic. If anyone can sell it, this cast can. At the Olivier Awards, this was our COVID year, everybody. It would be nominated for Best Musical, Best Actress in a Musical for Miriam Teakley, Best Choreography, Best Lighting Design, Best Actor in a Supporting Role in a Musical for David Badala, Best Original Score, Best New Orchestrations, sorry, Best Costume Design, and Best Actress in a Supporting Role in a Musical for Cassidy Jansen. It would win Best Actress in a Musical for Miriam Teague Lee, Best Actor in a Supporting Role for David Badella, and Best Actress in a Supporting Role for Cassidy Jansen. Yeah. In February of 2022, this is where I'm having my fun, guys. Allow me to have my giggles. It would be announced that a young boy would be making his West End debut. That young boy as Romeo. That young boy would be Tom Francis. Legends aren't born, they're made in Nat and Juliet.
No. No,
It
they're fucking not.
was a joke. It's funny watching him do clips of and Juliet. Like without that, we wouldn't have one of the greatest clips to ever exist on the internet, which is him singing and Juliet, and then the pauses where it's just silence. Nell's refusing to comment.
I'm not talking about this.
You're not talking about Tom Francis and Romeo and Juliet.
Well, he wasn't in Romeo and Juliet, was he? I
No.
respect that.
It would play Toronto before transferring to Broadway in late 2022. It would open at the Stephen Sondheim Theatre on the 17th of November after 20 previews. Jesse Green would say for the New York Times, they don't even bother trying to hide the jukebox. It's right there out in the open before the show starts. A chrome cyclops glowing before you from the stage of the Stephen Sondheim Theatre, of all places. Are you daring me, Anne Juliet? I've done everything a critic can to try and stamp out the jukebox musical. Called it a cockroach, a straitjacket, a leech, a dead fish. I've argued that with few expectations, it's a for it's a form that's satisfactory neither as music nor as theatre, let alone the combination. I've stood proudly amongst my colleagues as a denier of everything that shows like Anne Juliet typically stand for. So shoot me. I liked it. It felt so wrong, yet so right.
Jesse Green, I've
Trail.
never disagreed with you more.
No, I have. I have.
I had so much respect for Jesse Green as a jukebox hater.
Until I got to that part.
And then to have your one jukebox you like be Anne Juliet.
I think everyone's allowed one. Like everyone's allowed to do both.
Yeah, it shouldn't be Anne Juliet.
Yeah.
If he'd been like, you know what, Moulin Rouge, I fucking love, I'd be like, fair play. Fine.
Mm.
You're wrong, but fine. And Juliet.
Yeah. It trails the faint odor of carpet-bringing brand extension that makes other examples of the genre, Motown the Musical, Tina the Tina Turner Musical, and the inexcusable Escape to Margaritaville, so disparaging. The show's entire reason for being, after all, is to exploit the back catalogue of Max Martin. What saves Anne Juliet from being the lowest common denominator corporate byproduct is something else I never expected: wit. But just the surface are more important, like the fundamental choices about the jukebox can be. For one thing, Anne Juliet is not like Jersey Boys and The Cher Show, a biomusical chronicling the artist's ups and downs, no matter how uh, jimmied or flat out falsified. Martin has no taste for the spotlight, instead opts for an original story. I wouldn't consider it an original story.
No, but I kind of get that point. Like,
Yeah,
it's not just telling an artist's life using their
it's
songs.
yeah, we're not in the recording studio with Max Martin as he's talking with Britney Spears about like making baby one more time.
Mm.
I would like to see that actually. Dramatize that. And young Britney Spears will be played by Addison Rae. That's a joke. That's a joke. Um, Making the story a fable, not unlike Head Over Heels, the Go-Go romped in 2018 smartly derives its pleasure of reality. I could have used a bit more brain though, and Juliet sometimes seems suspicious of its own intelligence, like a nerd invited to the cool kids party, only to get drunk and vomit in the pool. The overcompensation, two confetti explosions, is unnecessary. Jukebox musical may still be bottom feeders, but as Aunt Juliet provides, there are some small treasures to be found in the murk. As long as they keep arriving regardless, I have to admit, citing Max Martin hit for those theatre critics, the Backstreet Boys, I want it that way. He's like, it's not good entertainment, but I enjoyed myself, which I have to respect.
So it's not highbrow, which is what I usually like.
Yeah, no one's
But I
dying.
suppose it's entertaining.
I suppose I like that catalogue of Max Martin, I guess.
You know what? I get that. I do think that Angelia is an entertaining musical. I think if I went and sat through, if I was really drunk and I went and sat through Angelia, I'd leave and I'd be like, this slapped. Great music. I also do want to say for a really long time, I did like fully believe that Head Over Heels and Angelia were the exact same show.
Yeah,
Um,
we've had
we've
many.
had this conversation because I keep forgetting that Head Over Heels existed, and I just think it's Anne Juliet.
Yeah, no, and every so often they'll be like, "Do you remember Head Over Heels?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I remember Head Over Heels."
I never do. I always forget it, and then when I see a picture of it, I don't clock it as Head Over Heels. I'm like, that's Anne Juliet,
That's not Juliet, maybe
and it's not.
it's not. Um, Deadline would say it's not that Anne Juliet is unenjoyable. It isn't. Somewhere beneath the bombast and repetition and overly warm from the minute approach of this sweet-ish and smart-ish tale that gives voice to the marginalized, not incidentally provides fans of the music of Britney Spears, Backstreet Boys, Katy Perry, Kesha, Demi Lovato, Ariana Grande, Bon Jovi, Celine Dion, Pink. Get dude. That's all I was thinking about with Pink.
Pink, get down.
Justin Timberlake a chance to hear their favorite songs in a musical that makes no secrets of its identity. A jukebox takes early pride of place on the set. That Martin Productions employ easily marketable, though not easily copied formula, relatively uncomplicated melodies and lyrics with plenty of repetition, single-mindedly message and uh not over much nuance, along with the sense of dramatic build that splints halfway up the climb and keeps going, is no secret that everyone has heard a few of his hits. In other words, all salient creatures within earshot of a radio, TV, or streaming service have taken their own songs such as Clarkson's Since You've Been Gone, Spears' Baby One More Time, Katy Perry's Raw, and I Kissed a Girl, make fine drive time company and at best, as experienced by millions of fans, a sort of generational soundtrack. To argue their success would be crotchety as it is silly, but presented together, one after the other, the songs can move from inspirational to browbeating in record time, and they do. Trying the various Max Martin's written songs together is Reed's book, a pastiche that shows as little edge that Reed and his fellow writers fought to subvert in Schmidt's Creek. Here, Reed has fashioned a sort of uh, institutional guide to feminism, self-destiny, empowerment, and chosen identity. Worthy topics, but here rendered with the same subjectivity as a middle school pep rally. Wolf, a terrific vocalist, recites her dialogue with unrelenting uh, archness, and Sullivan, as non-binary May, conveys a sweetness not so often undercut with melodrama. Only Sands as Shakespeare and the especially impressive Courtney as no longer lost girl consistently strike a balance between silliness and sense. Now, you've got a long synopsis for this musical.
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense. Created by the Emmy-winning writer from Schitt's Creek. This hilarious new musical flips the script on the greatest love story ever told. And Juliet asks, what would happen next if Juliet didn't end it all over Romeo? But whisked away on a fabulous journey as she ditches her famous ending for a fresh beginning and a second chance at life and love. That way. Juliet's new story bursts to life through a playlist of pop anthems as iconic as her name, including Since You've Been Gone, Raw, Baby One More Time, Larger Than Life, That's the Way It Is, and Can't Stop the Feeling, all from the genius songwriter and producer behind more number one hits than any other artist this century. Break free of the balcony scene and get into this romantic comedy that proves there's life after Romeo. The only thing tragic would be missing it. I mean, actually a great synopsis, if I'm being honest. Like a
Yeah,
really fun synopsis.
it is interesting to me that everyone's avoiding talking about the plot of Anne Juliet, even though it's kind of an easy pitch of what if Juliet didn't die at the end of Romeo and Juliet.
I also want to say that literally every single thing we have talked about so far, except for like one offhand mention of the fact that Shakespeare is a character, has completely glossed over the fact that Shakespeare and Anne Hathaway are like main characters.
Narrators.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Anne Hathaway becomes April. And they just okay, I want to talk about Anne Hathaway because I have a quote here from the book writer. So, important note. All that is known about Anne Hathaway is that her name probably wasn't Anne.
Somebody just whipped out her copy of Hamnet.
Yes. And I'm going to read the author's note at the end, a paragraph from it. Most people know that his mother, Hamnet, was Anne, but she was named by her father, Richard Hathaway, in his will as Angus, and I decided to follow as in his example. Some believe, yeah, and then I was talking about his mother, her mother.
Yeah.
So her name's written down twice, and one place is Anne, the other place it's Angus, and so people believe it's Angus. And I can't help but think that they used it as an excuse just to make some cheap Anne Hathaway jokes.
Yeah.
Like they get out the photo of Anne Hathaway at one point. I find the tone of Anne Juliet very strange.
I think the thing is, I think it's a very similar thing to what we said about Operation Mincemeat last week. Where it is a very, very maybe not. It's a funny musical.
It's a
I think it's
I don't chuckle.
maybe less than funny, it's fun. I think it's like a fun musical. It's like
feel good.
a feel good. Yeah. If it didn't have this really weird faux serious, not even undertone, overtone for the whole show. Do you know that fucking like TikTok? It's just like, it's not funny, is it?
Yes.
It just feels like that. Because like, here's a picture of Anne Hathaway when we're talking about the other Anne Hathaway.
The other Anne Hathaway
Feminism is under threat. What are you talking about?
Feminism is under threat. Juliet's 13.
Juliet's 13. Women don't have enough rights.
We're gonna age her
What
up.
if Romeo?
What if Romeo was in a pop band?
What if Romeo was Tom Francis? Guys, what if Romeo was Tom Francis? That would be hilarious. Women and girls are getting killed at an alarming rate.
Women, people, non-binary people exist and they're really important in society. What if someone became a DJ and that was the conclusion to their arc?
Admittedly, hilarious.
Not the
Actually, an
non-binary person.
incredible bit.
Not the non-binary person.
Oh, not the non-binary person.
Not the non-binary person.
Not realistic.
Huh?
Not realistic.
Not realistic. No, I don't. I can't remember the conclusion to that arc, but that arc was probably one of the most compelling of the piece.
I think, okay, I'm going to say my piece.
Okay.
First of all, what you need to understand is I really like Shakespeare. I'm a nerd. We get it. Trust me, I know.
Yeah.
Romeo and Juliet is actually a really, really feminist play for its time. Let's get that out of the way as well. For its time.
Okay, like if we're also gonna get into the dynamics between Shakespeare and his wife, like let's explore the fact that he actually kind of hated his wife.
Yeah, he was a man in Elizabethan England. He hated his fucking wife
And his kids.
and his kids and anything domestic.
Mm.
But with Romeo and Juliet, the whole point about Juliet's death, when you're looking at it from a feminist perspective,
Yeah.
is that she lived in a time where there was no other option. She
Mm.
was going to run away with Romeo because that gave her freedom. It was a man she actually loved. She had agency in the decision to love him.
Mm.
She, it wouldn't, she was young, but she would have been able to escape with a man that she genuinely liked
She
and
chose
live a
to be
life
with
that
him.
she chose and live a life of their choosing away
Yeah.
from the constraints of their families who have this
Yeah.
ongoing feud.
Mm-hmm.
The second she thinks that Romeo is dead, and that's the other thing, the only way they can get away from this because of how controlling their families are because they're young
Yes.
is to fake their deaths. Because
Yes.
as long as they are alive, they will be controlled by their families and the societal norms of their families.
Yes.
So they fake their deaths. The moment she realizes or thinks that Romeo is actually dead,
Mm.
and he is actually dead when
Yeah.
she finds him, second she realizes Romeo is actually dead, she doesn't have any other choice but to die.
Yeah.
Because if she stays alive, number one, her entire family already believes she is dead.
Yeah.
If they come down into this tomb, and so one, she will either die alone in that tomb because it's sealed
Mm-hmm.
with her dead lover. Two, her family will come down and find out that she has faked her death.
Yeah.
They can't go back up and say, hey, I know we announced that our young daughter was dead. She's
No.
not.
No.
You can't say that.
No.
So she will be shipped off somewhere, never to be heard from again,
Yep.
probably to a nunnery,
Yeah.
which is not what she wants.
No.
Or he will be married off to a much older man,
Mm-hmm.
and they will pay him to keep quiet about the fact that she is Juliet Capulet.
Yeah.
She will go under some fake name.
Yeah.
And then probably die in childbirth in 2 years.
Yeah.
The only way for
Or
her to
live
be
an
free,
incredibly long and unhappy life.
yeah, the only way for her to be free at
Is
that
that.
point is to kill herself.
Yeah. It's a deviation from the societal norm of women going with what they were told to do.
Yeah. And the point that Shakespeare is making, we can assume from his perspective, is about society and about us putting all of these constraints on young people and then being shocked that they are rebelling against us.
Yes.
And that's why there's the whole monologue by the sheriff at the end
Mm.
where he's like, guys, what if you guys hadn't hated each other and forced or tried to force your children to hate each other? They would have just gotten married and you
Yeah.
would have been there and it would have been fine. And in fact, it would have been really nice because even if you had still hated each other, it would have been a political alliance.
Yes.
But because you guys were so blinded by your own hatred, of which is generational, you don't even know why you guys hate each other.
Yeah, they have
You've
generational
just been
beef.
told to. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Already, Tybalt has been killed because of this hatred.
Mm.
But they don't really know. We never know why. They probably don't ever know why. and then it kills basically all of the younger generation. From a feminist perspective, it's very much saying, look at these constraints we are putting on women.
Mm-hmm.
Their choices for freedom are either run away and completely abandon your life
Yes.
or kill yourself.
Yeah. And Juliet, to bring it back to the 2019 musical with music by Max Martin, and Juliet takes the second approach where it's like, and she runs away to Paris with her best friends. And it's like,
And I think in some ways I can respect that starting concept.
yeah,
This idea of, okay, well, now we're in 2019, feminism, girl boss, let's go.
Lena Dunham.
Lena Dunham. What if, we're now looking at this from a modern perspective. What if those
Yes.
weren't her only two options?
Yes.
What if she could escape? What if we got all of the main female characters, Juliet and the nurse,
Yeah.
and also a non-binary character?
May and April, who is Anne Hathaway.
Oh, who is Anne Hathaway? Is Rosaline in this at all? I cannot remember.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Bad choice. Rosaline's a great character. And that would have been really fun. But then this idea of, okay, well, what if all of these female or female presenting characters
Mm.
could just escape? And I
Mm.
think you could still do this kind of ridiculous show about that, of it being like, we're looking at this from a modern perspective. Ultimately, it is Elizabethan.
Yes.
Like, they are stuck in,
Well, they're also constantly
Europe
making, yeah, they're constantly
in
making
the
references.
1400s or whatever.
Yeah, they're constantly making references to being in Elizabethan period. I do like their costuming,
Yeah.
but it's still referencing the Elizabethan period. But there's like
I
DJs.
also want to say, I'm pretty sure that, Romeo and Juliet is meant to be pre-Elizabethan, when it's set.
Yeah, I was thinking because isn't it based on a folklore or something like that?
Yeah, I want to say it's like for 13 or 1400s, but I might just be making that up. Like when it's meant to be set.
Mm.
But obviously it's Shakespeare, so you can kind of have a bit of fun with it.
Well, no, because it's set in Shakespeare's contemporary time because Anne Hathaway inserts herself into it.
Yeah, I'm just saying I don't think that Romeo and Juliet was meant to be
Yeah,
set in Shakespeare's contemporary time.
yeah.
Um, but I think you could have fun with that, and I think you could make a funny and entertaining Anne Juliet in that way.
Mm.
Whereas even I think you could even lean more into your kind of teen girl demographic. And then how many kids did Shakespeare have?
Free.
Because could you not just be like, and what if his daughter found it?
Yeah.
And his daughter's like, I like these characters, I don't like the ending. I'm going to write a fanfic
Yes.
about it. Bitch, I would be in that audience every
So,
night. If I
so,
was watching the musical about the Romeo and Juliet fanfic written by Shakespeare's
oh
daughter,
my God, he
I
had
would
a
be eating
daughter.
that shit up.
Hey, what his two daughters' names were? I've just looked it up.
What?
Susanna
Mm.
and Judith.
Bitch, get Judith in there. And then I think that could even be funny. And then you can have our other sister coming down and being like, what the fuck are you doing? And she's like, I'm writing a fanfic. She's like, okay, put me in.
Put me in, boss.
And Hathaway coming down and be like, what the fuck are you girls doing? They're like, we're writing a fanfic. Like, okay, put me in.
I mean, I've had to look up a plot.
I think then it would be camp.
I don't
I think then it would be really funny.
a bit too seriously.
That's the issue. Is I think to take this entire idea of what if Juliet could completely restart? What if she could go somewhere where no one knew who she was and she could live, the life of her dreams? She was free of the constraints. She's doing that. She's 14. She's doing this whole self-discovery thing. She's got her nurse and she's got her non-binary best friend.
Mm.
That's a kind of fun concept. It's a little bit weird and it takes itself slightly too seriously.
Yeah.
And then there's also the whole Shakespeare and Anne Hathaway thing. Let's ignore that for a second.
And then there's also the whole, so I'm rereading a plot synopsis, there's the whole Angelique and Lance, because the nurse has to fall in love with
Of course.
someone.
Because I think that's the thing. I think it would be a million times better if you constantly have this focus on Juliet's really young,
Yeah.
of having it be like every single other person around her is falling in love because they're older than her, and they're like, "No, you're 14. Like, trust you don't need this right now." To
Mm.
Romeo come back and have at the end her get back together with Romeo is ridiculous. You've done a full circle. You've said absolutely nothing.
Well, they agreed to go on a first date to start over.
But I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
What it feels like is it feels like you've done this whole concept of what if things could be different, what if things could be better, and then said, but ultimately at the end of the day, man knows best. Shakespeare knew how she should end up with Romeo.
Yeah.
Let's go back to that. And it just in that way that the plot just falls flat.
Yeah.
It's saying so much. It's doing these jokes and then being faux serious about like feminism and
Well,
about
I mean,
gender expression, about being young and
okay.
finding yourself. And then it says,
Well,
actually, fuck all that. She's going to get back together with Romeo and we're going to sing a song from Trolls. And then we're going to bow and you're going to leave.
and then we're gonna
And
say
that's
roll.
San Juliet. I believe the song from Trolls was actually the last song.
Okay, I'm gonna trust you on that. Um,
Yeah, it is. It's raw. I want it that way reprised and then can't stop the feeling.
oh, I love this musical so much. Guys, I've seen it. I've sat my ass down. I paid some money and I've sat my ass down. I had a good seat because I got a rush ticket and I watched Jan Juliet and I went, what the hell was that? The only two moments I remember are actually the serious moments. It
I
is
think that's the thing of it. It could also do quite well as a serious musical.
like not a girl, not yet a woman. It's a genius moment. I was like, pat on the back
Yeah.
to go on that. And it works and it's very well performed and it's not batshit insane. Like, where the hell were they keeping all those props? Um, and then it was that Anne Hathaway song, "When You Want It the Most." That's the way it is. It's that Celine Dion song that she sings. That is
Hmm.
nice. And I was like, this is good. And then like fucking Romeo appears and starts singing the NSYNC song, the Cena song for the Broken Hearted. And you're like, okay, fine. We're about to get somewhere. We're about to get some clarity there.
Yeah.
But I guess,
And I do think that May's story and
yeah.
like the the non-binary aspect, I think is a really interesting concept.
And I like the idea that there is a canon non-binary character in mainstream musical theatre.
Yeah. And I do actually think their character's done quite well.
Yeah, I that is one of the moments I remember from seeing Anne Juliet, which
I think it ties quite well into this whole kind of self-discovery
mm,
aspect that Anne Juliet has going on.
mm.
And I cannot remember, I think you said this as well, I cannot remember what that conclusion is.
I think they end up falling in love with whoever Juliet was originally in love with when they first got to France because they sing I Kissed. Do they sing I Kissed a Girl?
Francois, I think.
Yes. Oh yeah, okay. Um Francois and May meet again. The two share a sudden kiss. They both feel conflicted and sing I Kiss a Girl.
I can't lie. Francois confessing his feelings for May and singing It's Gonna Be Me. That's a great bit.
The entire time, like, May's character was introduced, I was like, and when are they gonna sing It's Gonna Be Me?
Gonna be May.
It's gonna be me. Oh.
Yeah,
So I wish it were more focused. Because why are there this many supporting characters?
yeah.
Let me pull up just a list of characters.
Oh,
Juliet,
I've
Anne Hathaway.
Juliet, Anne Hathaway, April, William Shakespeare, Lance Dubois, May, Romeo, Angelique slash nurse, Francois Dubois.
Okay, I think not all of them need to be as big of a part as they are.
No.
Because it leaves you confused and you're like, I don't actually know any of these people well enough to root for them or care about what happens to them because they're just kind of there. I mean, you care the most about Anne Hathaway.
Yeah.
she's always butting herself in. I don't know, man. I don't know if I have anything else to say on Anne Juliet except from it just doesn't work for me.
I get why it would appeal to kind of young teen girls.
Yes, and young teen girls should love pop music and should know their pop history. I encourage it.
In a weird way, I almost feel like it's like what happened with me and Dear Evan Hansen, where at the time I was like, this is groundbreaking. This is like so groundbreaking on mental health, and I'm so glad this is on Broadway.
Mm,
And looking back, I do kind of agree. I do think it was very important to have such a popular show vaguely address mental health, especially in teenagers, especially in teenage boys,
yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and talk about that. And it does it quite well. Well, no, it doesn't. It got that conversation going quite well.
Mm,
But overall, when I look back at it, the show was not good.
mm.
I don't think the show should have gotten the hype that it did without having had major revisions. I think a
No.
lot of things should have changed,
Yeah.
and they didn't. And while I'm really happy for the conversation it started and what it helped me go through at the time,
Yeah.
I would never recommend it to anyone today.
No. It's very dated considering it only came out under 10 years ago, whereas something like Next to Normal is quite is still up to date despite the fact that it was written over 15 years ago.
Yeah. And I think Anne Juliet did something very similar where it got this conversation going about feminism. I mean,
Mm.
it was definitely capitalizing off like the girl boss feminism of the 2010s.
Yeah, I mean, empowerment pop, which Max Martin spearheaded
Oh,
in
yeah.
the early 2010s as well. I mean, that's why his catalogue works so perfectly for it.
Yeah, having these like targeting your whole musical towards teenage girls and then talking about like self-discovery and like you can change and you can go back and forth and you can ultimately end up at the exact same spot you were, but you've gone on a journey to get there is fine.
Yeah.
I think that that is a good point to make.
Mm.
I also think it did a lot for getting non-binary rap on, the big stage.
Yeah, yeah, because this was always going to have attention on it because of who Max Martin is.
Yeah. And I think a character like May is really, really important to have.
Yeah.
But in the grand scheme of things, I think different to Dear Evan Hansen, where I think that Dear Evan Hansen ultimately was at least a little harmful.
Mm.
I just don't think Anne Juliet ever did as much good as it should have,
Hmm.
or that it intended to. It just kind of always, in every aspect, it just falls a little bit flat.
Because I was going to say to counter that, like, because I don't disagree with what you're saying. I think because I was like, should we be putting all these big lofty expectations on Anne Juliet to solve gender inequality? But then I was like, but it tries to.
That's it. I think I would be saying it's like with Hadestown.
Yes, pick
Let's bring it back.
crack it
Let's go
open,
back to our roots.
crack open the Hadestown.
I think whenever you look at what Aeneas Mitchell or any of the producers or actors in Hadestown have said, they're like, we're not trying to fix inequality and social inequality.
No, because
We're just trying to have a conversation about it.
as the musical says, it is so big and so deep rooted that nothing individually can kind of.
Yeah, but it's saying you can listen to a little song and you can think, maybe that, let's see the world the way it could be in spite of the way that it is. Let's talk about it.
You can listen to some If It's True and go, oh yeah, yeah,
Fuck,
I
what
agree.
if it is true?
Yeah.
No, it isn't. And I think that that's a whole different kind of worms, where
Yeah.
it's outside forces saying, Hadestown is going to fix social inequality. And they're going, no, we're not. We're a musical. We're not going to be doing that. We're going to talk about it and we're
Yeah.
going to get that ball rolling, but we're not going to fix
We're
it.
gonna
We're a
get you
musical.
we're gonna get you hopefully to start thinking about things in a different way than you would have originally.
The revolution was never going to happen on the Walter Kerr stage. And
Yeah, and it's not also not gonna have other lyric theatre,
it's
unfortunately.
not also, it's not going to have another lyric theatre. I think the issue with Anne Juliet was maybe one review said, like, this is really spearheading change in feminism and non-binary rap on the West End. And they
Yeah.
said, Anne Juliet is going to fix inequality on the West End. We are going to get girls performing. We are going to get non-binary people performing. We are going to get female presenting people performing,
Mm.
and then kind of never did.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm not shaming them for trying. Like
Mm.
that's the thing. I think if I'm trying to go at this with no bias at all, no, I fucking hate Anne Juliet.
Yeah.
I do think it did good.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, I think the West End and Broadway was in got into a better place because of Anne Juliet. Not by much and not in any significant way,
Mm.
but it got a little bit better.
I hope that people,
Purely just by the fact that we then had a canon real non-binary character who had to be non-binary for the story to work.
yes, yes.
Not something like that, because someone said this where they were like,
Oh yeah,
I
someone
think
has
it
to
was someone who like, yeah, and I get what you're saying, and I think it is a very good point that there are characters where their gender isn't set. And so someone like the Squid and Be More Chill
yeah.
could be played by a man or woman, and it
Or
wouldn't really matter.
like what's currently happening with the trains over at Starlight. I would counter that and say, they're their trains.
Yeah, like I think there are two fun like camps here, where it's one, their gender does not impact the plot and therefore can be switched around at random.
Yeah.
Same with like Operation Mincemeat.
Yes.
Ultimately, the actors' genders aren't influencing the plot.
Mm.
I would say also kind of the same with like Hadestown. I think you could have some fun with the gender of it, like with Hermes, they already do,
Oh, Hermes have such fun with the gender. It's amazing. I love it.
where the gender actually isn't impacting the plot. It's doing implications and stuff of how you're
Yeah.
viewing these characters in this story and how it's being told.
Mm.
But fundamentally, the plot remains the same. Whereas Anne Juliet, I think, for the first time in like recent history that I can like my finger on and say this is an example,
Mm.
May has to be non-binary, otherwise it does not work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Songs, plot points, relationships, all of that will not make sense unless this character is non-binary.
Mm.
And I think that's a lot more
Impactful.
powerful. Yeah. Like it's not this kind of, well, I guess this character could be non-binary if you really want to.
If you,
But
if,
if that gets bad reviews, they're going back.
or if you don't have the casting to do it.
Yeah. It's saying,
Whereas
no,
this
you
one's
will
like,
find someone.
yeah, there are people out there. Find them.
And I think in that way it was very good that Anne Juliet was very popular. Because they were like,
Yeah.
fuck, we need to keep this running. We need a non-binary cast member.
Yeah.
Because otherwise this show will not work.
Mm.
I think that kind of ultimatum for it was very good.
Mm.
I just think that the rest of it then does not live up to that, which even that is kind of the bare minimum
Mm-hmm.
of saying if we're having a non-binary character, we have to have a non-binary actor. Otherwise, the show does not work. That's great. Obviously,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Obviously, that has to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then in every other aspect, either the plot line doesn't follow through.
On anyone's front, I guess.
Yeah. Like this story of Juliet being able to find herself, but she still ends up right where she was. And yes, she's gone through a journey, and I get that that's good. It doesn't hold up.
Mm-hmm.
If you're saying this whole time that maybe she's too young for love and she's too young to like be stuck on a 3-day situationship,
Yeah.
yes, fine, make that point. You then can't end up back with a 3-day situationship. Otherwise, what you've said is Shakespeare was right, that was true love. She was right to kill herself for it because in his time there was no other option.
Mm.
And I think the big issue with it is it does just take itself too seriously. It's a fucking ridiculous story. It's a ridiculous show. The concept of the amount of pop songs and the type of pop songs they are using just fundamentally should mean this show is not serious.
If
In some ways, you can tell that they are aware of that.
Yeah, if you're going
like sometimes things are happening and you're like, yeah, you get that Anne Juliet is not a serious show. They turn around and they go, the same thing. Like women
because
should
women
have bodily autonomy.
women should
Like,
have
I fucking guess so. Why are we singing Raw? Like, I get the point you're making. Why is Britney
I
Spears
agree
over
with that.
loudspeaker?
Am I clapping because I agree with it or because you're just singing a really good pop song?
Like,
But it's
I
like,
think my thing with like earlier saying, "Oh, 22 was meant to be in it." I can fully see them going like, you know, girls are made to grow up way too soon, and they feel like they have to be older, and they feel like the only way they can fit into society and they can have fun in society is when they are older. So it's why
yeah,
girls are constantly getting into makeup younger and younger. It's why they want their period. It's why they're dressing like sluttier.
mm,
It's because that's the only way they're told they have value. When they're kids, they're either, men are looking at them
yeah,
still,
mm,
but they don't have control over it. The only way they can have control over it is when they're older.
mm-hmm.
Here's 22 by Taylor Swift, by the way. That's what we're using to make that point. It
And
doesn't track.
I wish they would be as dumb as Titanic is. I love Titanic. That show is
Yeah,
dumb, 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 dumb. But it's very smart in its dumbness. And it
yeah,
knows what it is. It is a jukebox musical using the using the songs of Celine Dion parodying the Titanic.
yeah. And I think this is a similar issue to what I have with Operation Mincemeat in terms of it having a serious point to make, but
Yeah.
it not being able to balance that with comedy.
Hmm.
Is that these shows shouldn't have to hide, especially things about gender,
Yeah.
under a joke.
Yeah.
Like, I get that Esther in Operation Mincemeat is not played for laughs. It's like Man in a Dress, like some shows on the West End have done. Um,
Mrs. Doubtfire.
you, Mrs. Doubtfire. And on Broadway as well. Fuck you, Some Like It Hot.
And Tootsie.
And Tootsie. Many shows are guilty of this. And in the current climate, it's just not on.
But it's also like, why is
And
this
I
all...
trust Broadway and West End producers that you'll be listening to the opinions of two 20 and 21-year-old girls on their
Yep.
podcast.
Yep.
And
We
stop
are
doing that right now.
right
I
now.
will expect an apology in our inbox soon.
Yep. You can reach us on
You're welcome, musical theatre community. We have
We've
saved you.
fixed it. Woo! We've done it, boys.
We've done it again. Like, even when the actual joke is not about like issues of gender or race or anything like that, and that's not the focus of the joke, the fact that the whole show is just overwhelmingly a comedy
Mm.
means that your hard-hitting message doesn't quite hit.
No.
Like, it's what we said with Operation Mincemeat. Your whole talk about how the government isn't actually for the people, it's for the elite. It's how
Yeah.
they don't care about us.
Yeah.
They care about what benefits them. In this case, they will use a dead man,
Mm.
not care about anything to do with his life or the fact that he has tragically died very young, and say, but guys, don't worry. This is how we can get geopolitical power.
Yeah.
Because we can win the war.
Yeah, we can do it.
That's a very good message, and it's a very good point to make. And it's a very
Yeah.
good critique to make, especially in the current climate, about
Yeah.
the Labour government being so similar to the Conservative government. They've just said that we are nothing like and we need to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Making that point becomes a lot more difficult
Mm.
when your entire show, one, is sympathetic towards these characters because they're the only characters,
Hmm.
and two, a comedy.
Yeah.
Where everything is played for laughs. How do I know that you don't want me to also laugh at the idea the government's bad
Yeah.
when I'm laughing at every other thing you're presenting?
And you're not going far enough to make it a satire. I don't know. I don't know if satire exists anymore. I'm so intrigued by the producers. The more and more I thought about it, more and more I need to go see the producers when it's on because I need to see a musical theatre that's fully a satire.
And I think with Anne Juliet, it's
Yeah.
all well and good that you are talking about self-discovery and self-expression, especially in
No.
young girls, for young girls,
Yeah.
for young people, I
Yeah,
should
yeah,
say.
yeah.
That doesn't quite work
No.
when your plot is going nowhere.
Hmm.
When the plot feels like, then yes, and
Yeah.
to quote another one of Max Martin's great songs, yes, and
About shutting down this haters so you can hang out with Ethan Slater.
hell yeah. I would have killed to see Ethan Slater and Anne Juliet, by the way. Ethan
Get him
Slater
in.
as Romeo would have gone
Get him
insanely
in.
hard.
Get him in. Get him in. It's still not too late.
But you know what? You can earn you know, can change my mind.
Yeah.
Ethan Slater as Romeo.
Mhm.
Bring Tom Francis back. Tom Francis can be Juliet. I'd kill to see Cola Scola as May.
There's nothing. Juliet. No, Colin Scott is Juliet.
Cola Scola is Anne Hathaway, if we're being real here.
Yeah, Colin Scott is Anne Hathaway because very much like the way the book writer was, who was named was talking about writing Anne Hathaway was very much like Colin Scott being like, and I didn't learn anything about Ray Todd Lincoln.
Yeah. And actually, I think it would actually, you know what? I would need a one-person production
Mm-hmm.
of Anne and Juliet, and it's just Cola
It's
Scola.
Cole.
Just Cole.
Tom Francis can be there moving the set pieces.
Tom Francis can be a set piece. Tom Francis can be the DJ booth. He can have, you know what? I'll let him vape on stage if he plays the DJ.
He would do it. He would do it. Yeah. Tom Francis vaping on stage in the DJ booth.
Yeah,
yeah.
There is a part of me that wants to not like, but wants to enjoy Anne Juliet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm very conscious that I think I might just be too pretentious to like it. You know, fuck that tweet. I'm British and I like serious musical theatre.
Guys, I'm so pretentious.
I cannot get behind it.
I'm so pretentious. It's actually not even funny.
It's actually a bit ridiculous.
The amount of pretension that's going to go through my body when I'm at fucking Andrew Lloyd Webber's Evita tomorrow is going to be insane, off the charts. I would be sat there going, I'm understanding this on a level none of you are. My parents are listening. I understood it on a level you didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I have to say on Anne Juliet, actually.
There's not like a ton else to say on it. I think that's, you know, that's the point we're making.
That's the issue.
We've spent most of our discussion about Anne Juliet talking about what if it was different? What else could we do?
What if we rewrote the story that's already about rewriting a story?
How much is it to buy the rights to Anne Juliet?
Oh,
that and Dear Evan Hansen.
We won. Give them.
We can fix them.
I want the rights of Dear Evan Hansen more than I want the rights of Anne Juliet.
I'm gonna make each of them into a one-act show, and it's gonna be like Act 1, Dear Evan Hansen, Act 2, Anne Juliet.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, I'd pay money to see that.
And you people are gonna fucking enjoy it.
And you're gonna sit there and really enjoy it.
Your lives will be changed.
Yeah, your lives will be changed. Jamie Lloyd to direct it.
Yeah.
I see nothing wrong with our production, like we're cooking up. At the Tony Awards, it'll be nominated for Best Book, Best Performance by Leading Actress for Lorna Courtney, Best Performance by a Featured Actress in a Musical for Betsy Wolfe, Best Costume Design, Best Costume Design of a Musical, Best Lighting Design of a Musical, Best Sound Design, Best Choreography, Best Orchestrations, and Best Musical. It would not win any.
What a shock.
What a shock. It would close at the Shaftesbury in March of 2023. It would then have, on Broadway, it would have notable replacements such as Joe Fatone as Lance Dubois, a character I think we could cut, and Charlie D'Amelio in the ensemble. Snaps off for Charlie. I really actually have come around on Charlie D'Amelio. I was hanging out with my mates a couple months ago now, and we were talking about Addison Rae, and I was like, you know who else I've really come around on? Charlie D'Amelio. And everyone looked at me like I had 5 heads. And I was like, when I thought about it for more than 2 seconds, the fact that Charlie D'Amelio is not insane right now is so impressive.
Oh, yeah.
She's the same age as me.
Love Charlie D'Amelio.
So, hats off to you. She looks like she's having a great time. And as that tweet I retweeted, leave her alone. The show's been corny as shit from day one.
Listen, you know what? I can respect them casting Charlie D'Amelio because at least they're leaning into, like, what the show actually is.
Insane.
No, I'd kill to see Gracie Abrams as Juliet.
No, don't take me a good time.
Gracie Abrams as Juliet. A certain someone as Romeo.
Tom Francis!
Tom Francis back as Romeo.
We'll let you make on stage, Tom Francis.
Guys, name a non-binary performer we can have as May.
That's not Cola Scola.
That's not Cola Scola. Mason Alexander Park?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
The only other one I can name, unfortunately, is not unfortunately because I don't think they're incredibly talented, but unfortunately because like representation is low and maybe I need to do my homework. This could be a me issue. Would be Alex Newell.
yeah.
Jay
I
Harsh.
reckon I could. Yeah.
They won a Tony that year. Some Like It Hot.
Mm-mm. Oh, who was in? Why am I so single?
Oh my God, yeah.
Joe
Yeah.
Foster.
Yeah, I think they were in and Juliet at one point.
Really? Hold on, I'm gonna look this up.
Did it with our homeboy, Tom Francis.
Guys, anyways, and Juliet, what was I saying?
You wanna like it, but you can't.
I want to like it, but I can't. Bad show, but a lot of fun.
Good fun.
Good fun. I reckon I could do a really good like drunk performance of it.
Oh, same. I just really like Max Martin's songs, especially after a drink or two. One and a half drinks in, hit me with Max Martin's song, I'm living my best life. In the
Oh
club,
yeah. Oh
woo,
my God.
Max Martin's song comes
And
on.
Juliet night in the club would go like hard.
It would go so hard. Anyway, next week we're doing another jukebox, one that we like
Yeah,
more. Because my request this week when we were deciding what show to do was, can it please be a show I like? Because I can't do another show I don't like. Because I don't know, research isn't fun when you don't like what you're researching. And everything you read about it goes, oh, for God's sake, of course you said that. So we're doing Mamma Mia. I love Mamma Mia. Love it so much. Love you, Mamma Mia. Yeah.
I've never seen it in my life, by the way.
No.
I've watched Mamma Mia 2. I've
Yeah.
never seen the
Mamma
first
Mia
Mamma
2,
Mia.
Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, classic, went triple platinum in my house. All of the Oscars. To both.
Yeah. I've never seen Mamma Mia. I will not be watching it before we record,
Nope.
but I reckon I'll be able to guess the plot. I think I know the plot. I've seen the
Everyone
second
knows the
one. I
plot.
know the plot.
Iconic. It's iconery. Anyway, speak to you all next week. Bye bye.
Bye.